portion of today's video is sponsored by TripMapper. TripMapper is a flexible cross-platform trip itinerary toolkit designed to make organising your next getaway fun. It's a great way to not only plan out your activities but also keep on top of your budget. Individual and group budgeting with TripMapper is an absolute breeze. Start by setting a daily or entire trip budget and then input paid amounts, including deposits and upcoming amounts. TripMapper lets travellers know what they owe, what they have left to spend, or if they are over their budget. Allowing them to stay in control of their trip spend and the currency conversion features makes for even more accurate budgeting. And just in case you're not a seasoned traveller or perhaps you need some help planning itineraries, TripMapper offers pre-made itineraries spanning the globe which users can easily customise in their TripMapper account. In fact, you can even access our own 4-day itinerary from our recent trip to New York City on the TripMapper website. And if you're travelling in a group, TripMapper gives you the ability to invite travel companions to join in with the planning to help to craft the perfect trip, giving you the ability to set different levels of permission so everyone sees only what they're supposed to. TripMapper is available on web app, which provides an amazing desktop experience, as well as the mobile app for convenient trip planning and access to the itinerary whilst on the trip. So, if you would like to start using TripMapper today for your next holiday, click the link in the description and use discount code Lloyd and Mandy to get 15% off an annual Trip Plus subscription.
We're Lloyd and Mandy, full-time digital nomads that have been traveling the world for the past year. We recently eloped in Las Vegas and spent a few days in New York City for our honeymoon. We crammed as much as we possibly could into just 4 days in the city, so today we're sharing our top 11 things you must do in New York City as a first-time visitor. Number 1. Authentic New York City pizza. Although pizza was invented in Italy, the first ever pizzeria in the United States was opened in New York City in 1905. New York-style pizza gets its distinguishing crust from the high-gluten bread flour with which it's made from. Minerals present in New York City's tap water supply are also credited with giving the dough in the metro area pizza its distinguishing texture and flavor. Some out-of-state pizza restaurants even ship the water cross-country to try and emulate the authenticity. There's definitely no shortage of pizza spots in the city, from chain restaurants to mom-and-pop spots. Chances are you're going to be able to find an authentic slice. We asked a ton of locals where to find the best slice, and they told us we were pretty safe to try any pizza joint in the boroughs such as Brooklyn or Queens. But if you can find a restaurant that uses a coal oven, then chances are you're getting the real deal. Number 2. Ride the subway. If you pay a little bit too much attention to the news, then you've probably heard some horror stories about how dangerous the subway is these days, but honestly, after riding it for a few days, we felt completely safe and we think it's just part of the true New York experience. Chances are you'll see a few musicians and characters while you're on the train, which makes the ride even more entertaining. Not to mention it's extremely convenient. You can get to pretty much anywhere you want to go in New York City, with trains running every few minutes, 24 hours a day. It's also very cheap, costing only $3 per trip. Number 3. Visit Central Park. Located between the Upper West and Upper East sides of Manhattan, Central Park has been the focal point of many movies and TV shows over the years, making it a favorite for any tourist visiting the city. But you'll also see many locals going about their normal business in the park on a daily basis. It is the 5th largest park in the city, covering a whopping 843 acres, and is the most visited park in the United States, with over 42 million visitors annually. And best of all, it's completely free. You can choose to walk in the park if you like, which will take you a while. We spent about an hour and a half in the park and didn't even cover a quarter of it. However, if you want to see more, you can hire a bicycle, and if you're feeling extra adventurous, a horse and carriage. Just be prepared to pay the extra money. A bike in Central Park costs around $13 per hour, and a horse and carriage is around $60 for a 20-minute ride. Number 4. Staten Island Ferry. The Staten Island Ferry is a passenger ferry that has been running for almost 200 years. The ferry's route runs 5.2 miles through New York Harbor between Manhattan and Staten Island, with the total trip taking about 25 minutes. The ferry operates 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, with boats leaving every 15 to 20 minutes during peak hours and every 30 minutes at other times. And best of all, it's completely free. It's a very convenient way to get from the city to Staten Island, considering there are no bridges or subways connecting the two boroughs. But it's also a great way to see the Manhattan skyline, as well as the city's most iconic landmark, which brings us to number 5, the Statue of Liberty. Probably the most recognizable statue in the world, the sheer size of the statue itself is breathtaking and makes you wonder how anyone could have sculpted such a huge piece of art. The statue gives reference to the U.S. Declaration of Independence as well as the abolishment of slavery. The statue became an icon of freedom and of the United States and is seen as a symbol of welcome to immigrants arriving by sea. As mentioned, you can take the free Staten Island ferry to get a great view of the statue, or if you prefer to get a closer look, a ferry and pedestrian tour will cost you around $50 per person. Number 6, a New York-style bagel. The New York-style bagel is the original style bagel available in the United States, originating from the Jewish community of New York City, and can trace its origins to the bagels made by the Ashkenazi Jews of Poland. In our opinion, if you're going to visit one of the many bagel shops in New York City, you have to try the bagel with cream cheese and lox, which is just another way of saying cream cheese and salmon, but be warned because it will cost you around $10 extra just to add to the salmon. We found this out the hard way. Number 7, the Empire State Building. No visit to New York would be complete without a visit to the observation deck of the Empire State Building. Here you can get a 360-degree view of the city, which really puts the sheer size of Manhattan into perspective. A trip to the observation deck will cost you around $40, but you will have to do a bit of waiting in line. Alternatively, you can skip the line for an extra fee, which could be worth it, especially if you're traveling with children. Number 8, walk the Brooklyn Bridge. Not only is the Brooklyn Bridge beautiful to look at, it's actually a surprisingly enjoyable walk from one side to the other. It has views of the financial district of Manhattan and plenty of street vendors selling everything from food, drinks to souvenirs. The walk itself takes around 30 to 40 minutes at a leisurely pace, but be warned if you're visiting in the cooler months to dress warm, as you do get a pretty cold breeze coming off the East River. Also, don't be surprised if you hear the same Jay-Z Alicia Keys remix blaring from the speakers throughout the whole journey. Number 9, go to a sporting event. With 8 major professional sporting teams in the city, 10 if you include the 2 professional soccer teams, it's safe to say New York City is the sporting capital of the United States, and let's be honest, probably the world. No matter what time of the year you visit the city, chances are there's going to be a major sporting event taking place. We were lucky enough to have the opportunity to attend our first ever NFL football game when we went to see the New York Giants host the Detroit Lions, and the atmosphere was like nothing we've ever experienced, both inside and outside the stadium. Of course, it's not exactly cheap to attend these games, but we think it's well worth the experience. And an insider tip, if you wait until the last minute to buy tickets from online reselling platforms like StubHub or SeatGeek, chances are you'll get a much cheaper price than you would if you book in advance. Number 10, Times Square at night. No matter how many times you see it on TV or in pictures, nothing can quite prepare you for the craziness that is Times Square, especially at nighttime. Sometimes referred to as the crossroads of the world, Times Square is a bustling pedestrian walkway surrounded by brightly lit billboards and advertisements, as well as businesses that operate 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Times Square is one of the world's most visited tourist attractions, drawing an estimated 50 million visitors annually. Approximately 330,000 people pass through Times Square daily, many of them tourists, while over 460,000 pedestrians walk through Times Square on its busiest days. The sheer magnitude of Times Square is something that has to be seen to be believed, and at night it seems to attract an even more lively crowd of buskers and entertainers. But don't worry, if the hustle and bustle gets too much, you can duck into one of the many local delis or restaurants to grab something to eat and maybe even warm up a bit. Number 11. Halal Kart. A halal cart is a food cart which serves halal Mediterranean cuisine, particularly in New York City. A halal cart platter consists of chicken or lamb gyro, yellow rice, and salad with optional red or white sauce on top. The red sauce is on the spicier side, while the white sauce is similar to tzatziki. The origin of the halal cart is disputed, but the Halal Guys was one of the first, starting off as a hot dog cart in Midtown Manhattan, New York City, before switching to halal food in the 1990s. As early as 2000, halal carts had already begun displacing hot dog carts as the city's dominant form of street food. At only $8 per serve, it's also a very cheap meal option if you're looking for something on the go. So there it is, our top 11 things to do in NYC as a first timer. If you think we have left anything off this list, please let us know in the comment section. We hope you enjoyed this video, and if you want to see more travel related content, make sure you subscribe to our channel.
Williamsburg's awesome. How cool is it?
Let's move here.
It's kind of hipster, but it's really cool.